Okay. Hi, everyone. We're so happy to have you here. My name is Stephanie Sandala. I am Programming and Outreach Specialist here at Library Link, New Jersey. I am so thrilled to present our next Publisher Book Buzz during our first Summer Book Bash. I'm happy to introduce you to Shaughnessy Miller, Marketing Associate at Lee & Low Books. Shaughnessy is going to show you their upcoming highlights and can't miss titles. And at the end, we'll be giving away prizes, which are amazing, by the way, to one lucky attendee. And with that, Shaughnessy, please introduce yourself and share more about Lee & Low.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. My name's Shaughnessy Miller. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm on the marketing team at Lee & Low Books, which I'm loving so far. I've been there for a little less than a year. And I'm thrilled to be speaking with all of you at Library Link, New Jersey about our 2022 catalog. And Stephanie had asked me to speak about upcoming fall titles, summer titles, and maybe include some spring titles. And at Lee & Low, our philosophy is that every book is equally important to the readers and to our list. So I have actually opted to share all of our 2022 books. Not all of our leveled readers and paperbacks, and we have many books in Spanish publishing as well, but I'm going to actually drop in the chat a link to our entire catalog so you can follow along. I think I need to send it one more time to everyone. So you can follow along and click the links to the book pages on our website. The ISBNs are in the catalog as well. And I'm also going to share a PowerPoint presentation. Bear with me one moment while I share the screen. Excellent. Okay. So I'll start with a brief overview of who Lee & Low is, and then I'm going to show a couple of videos of our authors introducing their books, which I really love to see. I love working with all of our great creators. Slight caveat is that the videos were created earlier in the year. So some of them there's two separate videos coming soon and out now. And some of the coming soon titles have already been published. So I'll note that for you later in the presentation, which books are still forthcoming in the fall. And then I'll finish out the presentation by going through each title in more detail. And as I said, mentioning what's currently available. I'm going to start going through picture books through adult titles. And so with that, let's get started. So Lee & Low Books was established in 1991. So recently was the 30th anniversary. And it's we're proud to be a family owned and fully independent publisher and one of the few minority owned publishers in the United States. All of the books we've created over the last 3 decades serve our mission to publish diverse stories that all children and young adults can enjoy. And Lee & Low takes pride in publishing the work of debut authors and illustrators of color. For example, we introduced the first books by talents like Caldecott winner Jabaka Steptoe, author Paula Yu, and author and illustrator Don Tate, as well as the first novel co-authored by Cybert winners Tracy Sorrell, among many others. And I just wanted to mention, we discovered many of these talents through our 2 annual writing contests for debut writers of color and Indigenous writers, the New Voices Award for picture books and the New Visions Award for novels. We actually just closed submissions on both of those and earlier this week, but it happens every year starting in May. So if you have any writers that you know of in your life, or you are a writer of color or Indigenous author, you can submit to our contest. And additionally, last year, Lee & Low added another imprint to our family when we bought Cinco Puntos Press. And CPP has a long list of award-winning authors like Benjamin Aliere Saenz, Isabel Quintero, Tim Tingle, David Bowles, among many others. Our books are available through all major distributors. You can find our ebooks on many ebook platforms, and our novels are accessible to visually impaired readers in Braille, audio, and large text formats through the Bookshare program. And of course, I wanted to mention you can find all of our books for sale on leeandlow.com, but also on our website, we have a wonderful literacy team that creates teacher guides for every book. There's more lesson plans, author interviews, resources, and we have a book blog called the Open Book Blog that we post to as well. So please check out our website and follow along on our blog. So now I would like to start off by introducing you to the Lee and Low Books Author and Illustrator class of 2022. And as I mentioned, there are two videos. They should be together, but they are two separate videos. So enjoy meeting our creators.
Hi, I'm Selena Gonzalez, author of Where Wonder Grows. I've teamed up once again with Adriana Garcia, my collaborator, on the award-winning All Around Us to bring you a lyrical intergenerational story exploring our connections to nature, family, and traditions. Available also in Spanish, Donde las Maravillas Crecen.
Hi, 大家好. Hello, everyone. I'm Yinghua Hu, the author and illustrator of 10 Blocks to the Big Walk, a bilingual English Mandarin counting book taking you on a stroll through Chinatown and introduce readers to the numbers 1 through 10 in Chinese. I promise it will also leave you hungry for more.
Hi, I'm Monica Sapita. I'm the author of Voice of the Beast. It's the story of three strangers who happen to be cousins and the journey that they take together, both literal and figurative. It's a smart, funny, fearless road trip novel.
Hi, my name is Leslie Newman, and I am the author of Alicia and the Hurricane, Alicia y el Huracán. This picture book tells the timely and tender story of a Puerto Rican child facing a hurricane and her concerns over the beloved coquilles of her home island.
I'm Yasmin Ramirez, author of Andale Pireta. My debut memoir is a reflection on the coming of age on the U.S.-Mexico border and a family of resilient Mexican-American women. It is also a love letter to the tough grandmother who raised me and the subsequent years searching for fulfillment after her passing.
So as I mentioned, those are the books that most of our spring titles, and I'm going to share the rest of our titles now.
Hi, I'm Jane Park, author of Junaidappa. In this new adventure that takes place in their family's dry cleaning shop, Juna helps her appa after she sees a customer yelling at him about a lost jacket. She really wants to help and goes on a magical journey in search of the jacket that reveals how different animal fathers care for their young.
Hi, I'm Sergio Soniando, author of Nobody's Pilgrims, a gritty adult literary novel with YA crossover appeal that tells the story of three teenagers on the run who carry a great menace as they are chased by greater evil.
I'm Kari Krako, author of the Harvey Milk story. This hopeful and inspiring biography tells the story of the historic gay activist Harvey Milk, who gave people the courage to be proud of who they really are.
Hi, I'm Allison Goldberg, author of Bottle Tops, the inspiring biography of Ghanaian artist El Anatsui, whose handmade sculptures created from discarded bottle tops have received international acclaim and been showcased around the world.
Hi, my name is Guadalupe Garcia McCall, and I am the author of Echoes of Grace. This contemporary story explores sisterhood, family secrets, intergenerational trauma, life, and love in a modern Gothic setting with a magical realist twist.
Hi, I'm Shirley Riva Vernick, author of The Sky We Shared. This novel weaves little-known historical events into a thoughtful tale of two young teenagers, one American and one Japanese, whose wartime lives on opposite sides of the world lead them to discover that hate for an enemy leaves a heavy heart.
Hi, my name is Chris Clarkson, and I am the author of That Summer Night on Frenchman Street. Set in the magical city of New Orleans, two teens from very different backgrounds connect, and their connection is both easy and challenging at the same time. Their connection forces them to evaluate their existing relationships, the relationships they have with their friends, family, each other, and ultimately themselves.
Hi, my name is Lelania Garcia. When you talk about me, the words that feel good to me are she and her. I am the author of How We Can Live, which is the first book that is dedicated to the principles of the Black Lives Matter movement, and it is fully endorsed by the Black Lives Matter Global Foundation Network. I'm really excited about this book because I think that it gives everybody a chance to learn about the principles of the Black Lives Matter movement in language that is clear and accessible to everybody, from very small children to all the rest of us who are older but are really trying to unlearn habits of systemic oppression.
Hi, I'm Sarah Warren, author of Stacey Abrams' Lift Every Voice. How can we move our country forward? Stacey Abrams has an answer in this bright and stirring biography, perfect for discussions of voting rights and conversations about how people working together can make a difference.
Hi everyone, I'm Christy Hale, author and illustrator of Copycat. In this picture book, illustrations of plants and animals and Tonka poetry are paired with photographs of innovative inventions and designs found around the world to present captivating examples of nature-inspired design.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Dunn, author of the new young adult debut novel, Snitchers. When the adults can't, three friends team up to solve the shooting of a little boy in their own neighborhood, but find that the search for truth and justice isn't always that simple.
Hi, I'm Emmeline Lee, author of Bonnie's Rocket, illustrated by Alina Chow. As Baba works as an engineer for the Apollo 11 mission, Bonnie decides to build a rocket of her own. But can she get it to fly? Inspired by the life of my grandfather and the historic moon landing, Bonnie's Rocket celebrates the diverse team that contributed to one of the US's greatest achievements.
Hi, my name is Monica Brown, and I am the author of The Turquoise Room, El Cuerto Turquesa, a new bilingual picture book about generations of creative women in my family. It's in English and Spanish and gorgeously illustrated by Adriana Garcia. I hope you enjoy.
Hi, I'm Cindy Weil, author of Vamanos. Young readers will enjoy this fun and vibrant bilingual introduction to different modes of transportation. This is the 8th book in my First Concepts in Mexican Folk Art series. Illustrated by master artisans from Oaxaca, Mexico. Espero que les guste.
Hi, I'm Claudia Guadalupe Martinez, author of Still Dreaming, Seguimos Soñando. In this first picture book about a long-forgotten part of U.S. history, Mexican repatriation, a boy and his family must leave the only home they've ever known in order to stay together.
Hi, I'm A.M. Dastu, author of Fight Back. In it, 13-year-old Alia is targeted and feels isolated because she's Muslim, but she sees she's not alone. Other young people from different backgrounds also feel discriminated against because of their identities. It's a story of hope, speaking up, and the power of coming together in the face of hatred. Let's all fight back together.
Okay. I hope you enjoyed meeting many of our fabulous creators, and I know I really enjoy working with them, and I'm really excited to expand on their brief introductions of the taste that you got of their book and of their books. And I'm going to share, I don't know if you do this, but I can share the presentation with Stephanie after to send around to everyone as well, since there are quite a few titles, and also you can continue to follow along on your catalog. So first up, Where Wonder Grows, Donde las Maravillas Crecen. This is, as you met Zelena Gonzalez, but this is from the team behind the Pura Belpre and American Indian Youth Literature Award winning All Around Us. And they are back again for this lyrical intergenerational story, exploring connections to nature and family traditions. It's also available in Spanish, and it's perfect for environmental discussions, roundups, story times, as well as discussions about family. Art is gorgeous, as you can see. And the creative team are both Mexican American. They're close friends who bring a lot of passion to each of their projects. Selena is also a member of the Tapilon Coahuiltecan Nation, so she is also a Native author and was a children's librarian as well. And this title received 2-star reviews from PW and Kirkus. Hope you'll check this one out. 10 Blocks to the Big Walk is, as you saw, a bilingual English and Mandarin counting book that introduces readers to numbers 1 through 10 in Chinese. And it also introduces them to common sights and sounds of any Chinatown. It encourages exploration of food, cultures, and languages. And as you can see from this, the illustrations will definitely leave you hungry and you'll probably want to go eat immediately after. The back matter includes author notes discussing different elements of Chinese culture, and there's also a handy guide for learning numbers 1 through 10 in Chinese. And I know Ingwa, I went to one of the events and we made like a lantern with the different numbers. So there's different, I know on her website, she has different activities as well. So this is a great story time read. Okay, Alicia and the Hurricane, Alicia y el Huracán. So this is from author Leslie Newman, who wrote Sparkle Boy and Heather Has Two Mommies. And in this book, she writes about a Puerto Rican child facing a hurricane and her concern for the beloved coquis, which are little frogs in Puerto Rico that sing the song that sounds like coqui coqui. And Leslie has a particular connection to Puerto Rico. Her wife was originally from there, and she also lives in Holyoke, Massachusetts, which has the largest Puerto Rican population per capita of any city in the United States. This bilingual picture book also captures the realities of a natural disaster while providing hope and highlighting the resilience of the Puerto Rican community and how everyone comes together after the disaster to support each other. The illustrator, Elizabeth Erazo Baez, is a fine artist from Puerto Rico and was also an elementary art teacher. Next up is Junaidappa. This is a companion to Apala and New Voices winner Juna's Jar. And it's a magical tale in which Juna embarks on a journey to help her biggest hero, her Appa. As you can see in the slides, it's an homage to families and fathers, especially families who own small businesses and shops and children who grow up in them. Readers also learn about various animals and their abbas and how they care for their young. And it is a Junior Library Guild selection. Next up is Bottle Top. So this is our last picture book that's currently available that came out earlier in the year. It's an inspiring picture book biography of Ghanaian artist El Anatsui, whose handmade sculptures from discarded bottle tops are recognized around the world. And it's great for exploring creativity, environmental recycling discussions, STEAM, and also art history. And there is a recycled art activity in the back of the book for readers. And this was I was excited about this book when I first came to Lee and Low because I had seen some of Elle's art up at a museum and was an instant fan. And as you can see from this slide, the image on the left is the art in the book and the image on the right is his art in real life. And it looks like an elaborate tapestry that you could touch and it would feel like fabric, but it's actually recycled metal. So you'll definitely want to read the book and then visit one of the many museums or galleries where Elle's art is available on display. The illustrator is Elizabeth Dunham, and she illustrated Poems in the Attic by Nikki Grimes. She and the author Allison Goldberg actually created a really awesome a series of videos discussing her art, and we're going to be sharing that on our blog and YouTube channel in the coming weeks if you have an interest in learning more. Its title received 2-star reviews, and those are from Booklist and Shelf Awareness, so very exciting. And now on to our young adult titles that came out earlier in the year. So this, Boys of the Beast, is a coming-of-age young adult novel, and it's the story of 3 very different cousins who go on a road trip after their grandma passes. It explores mental health, religion, a love of music, including 80s music in particular, and movies, and it talks about found family. Even though they are all family, they're becoming a family through this road trip. And it's definitely a book for a slightly older teenage audience. The author, Monica Zapita, won the New Visions Award with this manuscript, and she was inspired to write this story when she thought she's an aunt of many nephews, and she wondered what it would be like if those nephews hadn't grown up together because she noticed they were all very different. And she's also a teen librarian in Beverly Hills. Next up is The Sky We Shared. So this is a historical fiction novel that weaves together the stories of two young teenagers living in the US and Japan during World War II. And it's actually based on real events that I was unaware of previously from World War II, called Project Ugo, which was when the young people in Japan were helping with the war effort, building these balloons, but they didn't know what they were building. And it turns out those balloons were going to be used for bombs. And so this story interweaves two teens across the ocean and how their stories connect. Ultimately, they both like have this strong hatred in their heart for the other, but they learn through this story and experience that having that hate leaves a heavy heart. And the author, Shirley Reva Vernick, wrote The Blood Lie, which was a Sidney Taylor notable title. That Summer Night on Frenchman Street, this is from debut author Chris Clarkson. And it's about two teens from very different walks of life who meet and have an instant connection. And they're getting to know each other's challenges, what each one is facing, and also falling in love. It's set in magical New Orleans, so the city itself is also a character in this story. And it has lots of queer representation, and it's good for fans of The Sun Is Also a Star and Darius the Great Is Not Okay. Next up, Echoes of Grace. And this book actually published just on Tuesday. So we're thrilled to be able to have it available and for you to share it with your patrons. But it is the new novel from Pura Belpré, award-winning author of Under the Mesquite, Guadalupe Garcia Mical. And she also wrote Summer of the Mariposas, Shame the Stars, and All the Stars Denied. This book explores sisterhood and family secrets and intergenerational trauma. And it's set in sort of a modern Gothic setting with some magical realism, but there is some content warnings of sexual assault and the death of a child. So there's heavy topics explored in this book that are sort of peeled back layer by layer as this main character has experienced a tragedy, and she is recalling slowly the events of a few summers before. And she has this don, or this gift of seeing these echoes, which she can kind of tell what's the future and what's going to happen a little bit. This is something that was passed down in her family. Her mother had the same premonitions, if you will. So it is a heavy book, but it is exploring a lot of themes. And actually, Guadalupe wrote a really wonderful blog post for us that explains her inspirations and how it connects to her own story when she was younger. So the title received 2-star reviews from Kirkus and PW, and we're very excited that it finally has been published. And then lastly, and there's Guadalupe and some of her other novels. Lastly, books that came out earlier this year, we have 2 adult titles with YA crossover appeal, and they were both acquired through Cinco Puntos Press. So traditionally, Lian Lo has been a children's book publisher, but with the acquisition of Cinco Puntos, we have a few adult titles now. So this one is a memoir from debut author Yasmin Ramirez, and it's a love letter to her Ita. She started writing this after her Ita passed away, and she was raised by her grandmother, her Ita, and had these strong connections with her. And actually, the title has a very wonderful or beautiful significance. Her Ita would call her Prieta, which means little dark one, but it was kind of a reclaiming of the word, and it was a loving expression of that word. And she really missed being called that by her Ita in particular. So this is a story about that love of her grandmother and also her mother and sister, and so many generations of Mexican American family. It is set on the US-Mexico border, but it's relatable across the Latinx diaspora, and there are many themes of food and music and just many memories in this book that are very poignant. I do have a trailer that the author made, so I'm going to play that as well. She makes really wonderful videos.
Hi, my name is Yasmin Ramirez, and I'm the author of Andale Pireta, and I want to tell you a little bit about my book. The literal definition of Andale Pireta means, come on, dark girl. But in the book, I explore how it's a term of endearment and how when it came from my grandmother, Ita, I learned to love my darker skin and love myself at the same time. People should read Andale Pireta because it's a universal story of family, love, loss, and coming of age. But the best part is it features an amazing place that's like no other. It's 2 countries, 2 cultures, 2 languages, and it's a place I call home.
Okay. And last up for the titles that have already been published this year is Nobody's Pilgrims. This is also an adult book with young adult crossover appeal. It's an exciting thriller set during a worldwide pandemic, written before COVID-19. It's not about COVID-19, but it has themes that will be relevant currently. And it tells the story of 3 teenagers on the run and who are also falling in love and coming of age, but they're carrying with them something that some bad people want, and so they're being chased by these bad people as this pandemic is unfolding around them and as they're coming of age and falling in love. So Sergio Troncoso is the author of A Peculiar Kind of Immigrant Son and is the former president of the Texas Institute of Letters. And he often in his work explores the theme of borders beyond the border. He's an author from El Paso who frequently visits there but lives in the Northeast now. And that he's just exploring borders beyond the border, which means that immigrants are still facing barriers once they've moved away from the border or once they've crossed that physical border, and oftentimes many generations on. So with that, let's move on to upcoming fall titles. First of all, we'll start with picture books. So this Stacey Abrams' Lift Every Voice is a picture book biography of Stacey Abrams, and it includes a very comprehensive timeline in the back of the history of voting rights, in addition to Stacey's story growing up, how she became who she is today, and her fight for voting rights as well. The author, Sarah Warren, wrote Shine Your Light about Beyonce, a biography of Dolores Huerta, and several other books as well. This title will be especially relevant as Stacey launches her campaign, her second campaign to be the first Black woman governor our country has seen. We also created a poster with a condensed version of the timeline, and that will be available to download from our website. Oh, and here's an image from the book of people waiting in line. Okay. Next up is Copycat. So this book brings to life the concept of biomimicry, which is a term that shows how nature inspires solutions to humans' real world problems. So this also written in Tonka poems, so it's perfect for STEAM and poetry roundups and story times, discussions, as well as for maker spaces. As you can see, there's a few examples of biomimicry, just a few of the many in the book, and you can see how she seamlessly combines the illustrations, the pictures, and the poetry. And it's very interesting to learn where we got some of the ideas for things that have changed our lives and made our lives easier. This is also the companion to Dreaming Up, which was the winner of the Boston Globe Horn Book Award by author, illustrator, and designer Christy Hale. Next up is Bonnie's Rocket, which is another great choice for STEAM roundups and maker spaces. As Bonnie's father works on the lunar module for the Apollo 11 mission, Bonnie also builds her own model rocket. And this was inspired by the experiences of author Emmeline Lee's grandfather, who actually worked on the Apollo 11 mission. And it's a great book for budding scientists, especially children of color and young girls. as there are STEAM applications and representation of BIPOC contributions to science. There's also a model rocket project in the back of the book. I know the author did this project and created a video as well that we'll be sharing on our blog of her creating the rocket. But it teaches kids the process, as you can see here: design, build, test, and analysis. And it teaches kids perseverance and confidence in themselves. So it's a wonderful story. Next up is the El Cuerto Turquesa, the Turquoise Room, which is a bilingual picture book memoir about the legacy of creativity passed down through 3 generations, actually now 4 generations of women in the author Monica Brown's family. And it is full of lyrical prose and just gorgeous illustrations. The illustrator is Adriana Garcia, who illustrated Where Wonder Grows, Donde las Maravillas Crecen. And the use of color is just beautiful in this. Award-winning author Monica Brown, who has several books: Marisol McDonald Does Not Match, Charuco, and also Adriana Garcia was a Pura Belpré Illustrator Honor, have teamed up for this one. And yeah, as you can see, gorgeous illustrations and just that intergenerational storytelling and passing on those gifts and stories through their family. Next up is Vamanos, which is the latest installment in Cynthia Weil Mexican folk art series. And Cynthia Weil runs the Bank Street College for teachers. So this is a bilingual book that introduces modes of transportation and ends at the library, which is always wonderful. The art in this book is front and center, and it's created by artisans in Oaxaca. Cynthia spent a lot of time in Mexico and has many artist connections. So for each of these books, she has featured different artisans. Some of them are like grandmaster artisans in Mexico. And they create these images, then they send them to her and she takes photos of them. And then afterwards she donates them to Mexican Art Museum in Chicago. But it is, she has some videos as well on her website, and we also have shared them of talking with the artisans and the process for making this art. And it's really interesting and beautiful to see. So it's a great one for little readers who are big fans of transportation and who you might want to introduce those concepts in Spanish as well. Still Dreaming, Seguimos Soñando. This is also bilingual story that is the first children's book to explore this long forgotten chapter of history known as Mexican repatriation. So in the story, a boy and his family leave their home to avoid being separated by the government because people are being returned back to Mexico in this time period. This is something that I did not learn much about in school, and might be a new concept to many older and younger readers. So the art is absolutely gorgeous. The illustrator Magdalena Mora is recently, her book The Notebook Keeper was published, so you might recognize these illustrations as well. It's illustration style. Next up is How We Can Live. This is the illustrated version of the activity book, What We Believe. So this book explains the principles of the Black Lives Matter movement. And we have published this previously, this activity book with coloring pages and writing prompts. And it was released a couple years ago, and we got a lot of feedback from librarians that they would love to have this in their collections, but it could not be as an activity book. So we created this illustrated version. Each page has it features a different principle of the Black Lives Matter movement, and also has many questions to ask young readers just to start conversations. And the author herself is a kindergarten teacher and uses many of these concepts and questions in her classroom. And she's expressed how young people will answer these questions much differently than adults, and often we've actually discussed how this book might get pushed back given the current climate, and she she has a lot to say on that subject. We're possibly working on a webinar with her, definitely blog posts for her with her to talk about how you can approach those issues if that's happening in your area. But she does talk about how many of these principles are, aside from the Black Lives Matter movement, they're just generally principles of how to be a good person, how to be empathetic, and many of these questions, students will not bring up a lot of the topics that adults are thinking they will, and it's just a great way to start discussions of empathy in the classroom. But she also features on each page the illustrator. Both the author and illustrator are educators in the New York City school district, but the illustrator also features prominent figures in the movement on each page. And so it's wonderful for all ages and to start discussions. And last picture book is Marvelous Mabel. So this is a picture book biography of Mabel Fairbanks, a figure skating superstar, and she was the first Black athlete inducted into the Figure Skating Hall of Fame. The book shows the many challenges she faced, and it really is a great story about resilience and overcoming loss. Mabel was orphaned as a young child and went to live with her brother, but her brother and sister-in-law could not take care of her, so she actually ended up living with, I think it was the handyman in her building, and she became interested in figure skating as she saw people skating in the park, and tried to figure skate at various rinks, but was not allowed because of the color of her skin. So actually this picture shows this really happened in real life. Her guardian created this in her bedroom for her, and this is where she learned how to skate originally, just a little, like, I think 6x6 skating rink. So this image is really incredible, but eventually she did end up persisting, and she was able to skate on the rinks, and she became a teacher to many famous figure skaters, Christy Yamaguchi among them. And so this is just a wonderful way to introduce readers to this sports figure. It is by author Crystal Hubbard, who is the author of Catching the Moon, among many other wonderful picture book biographies, specifically sports biographies. And next up, middle grade, called Fight Back, and it's coming this fall. It is about 13-year-old Alia, who can't wait for a concert by her favorite K-pop band, and isn't too concerned with news stories about the rise of the far right until a terrorist attack at the concert changes everything. So following this, so clearly there's a traumatic event, so there's some content warning for that. But following this event, racist people are emboldened, and there's more anti-Muslim rhetoric. So she decides she needs to do something about it, and she decides she's going to start wearing her hijab for the first time. And in this book, she also finds many other allies who resonate with her, who are having difficult experiences with bullying or racism as well. And so it's about finding your voice and solidarity and nonviolent protests with friends and neighbors. So this will resonate with many young activist readers. It pairs well with Amina's voice and A Good Kind of Trouble. And as mentioned, the author A.M. Dasu is the award-winning author of Boy Everywhere, which received 3-star reviews. And this book she's done it again. It's a page turner, it's a call to action, and young readers will fly through this story. Next up, young adult novel Snitchers. So this is a stunning young adult debut from award-winning screenwriter Stephanie Dunn. And it's about 3 friends who join together to solve a horrendous crime in their neighborhood. The main character, Nia, is preparing to enter high school, and she is living in a small Midwestern city, but she has experienced violence in the past. Her father was shot down in the middle of the night. There were no witnesses, so she's experienced that trauma. And then when the little boy she babysits is caught in the crossfire of a drive-by shooting, she is devastated and her community is devastated. So she and her best friends want to do more. And they want justice for this and an end to the violence in their community. So they set out to solve the crime, but questions come up of what if they solve the crime and more people end up dead, or they find answers, but it's not the answer that they were looking for. It's a heart-wrenching novel about truth and loss and violence in communities everywhere. And actually the author is working on, we'll be posting a blog post about the author's inspirations for the novel, including the violence across our world and across communities, but also within her own community and family as well, and why she was inspired to write this. And it is a Junior Library Guild selection. And then last up is another adult novel acquired by Cinco Puntos Press called When You Get to the Other Side. This is a gorgeously written novel, and it's a translated work as well. And so it's the mystical beauty of Rudolfo Anaya meets the urgency of Valeria Luiselli in this novel by Mariana Osorio Guma. And Guma is lives in Mexico City, was born in Cuba originally, and immigrated there as a young child. This is expertly translated by Cecilia Waddell. It's very faithful to the original, it's very nuanced, and the writing is just gorgeous. And we have a blurb from David Bowles, who is award-winning author and co-founder of Dignidad Literaria. And he says, it's a moving story of migration that tempers the pain and loss of a journey to the US with rich lyricism and magical realism. Timely, vivid, and uncompromisingly authentic, When You Get to the Other Side reminds us with unflinching honesty that meaning and joy must be sought in this moment where we are. The promised land is right here among the spirits of ancestors of rock and soil ready to be fashioned with our hearts and hands. Narrated with true literary dignity, When You Get to the Other Side is an essential text for understanding the complex realities of immigrants and refugees. So I couldn't have said it better, and this is just a gorgeous read that is very prescient to this time and is it is an immigrant story for immigrants. It's not written for the white gaze or anything like that. So with that, thank you so much for having me. If you'd like to have more information about these titles, our resources, offerings, we also do customized collections. Feel free to reach out to me at this email address or to our educational sales team. They pride themselves on being able to craft collections to suit your needs, and this is the email address for them and for myself. And I can share this, as I mentioned, with Stephanie to send out to everyone. Also, if you'd like to follow our blog or connect with us on social media, here's more information about all of our handles and the links as well. So thank you again. And I think we'll open it up for question and answer at this time. Stop sharing my screen. So feel free to drop any questions in the chat or anything like that, or email me if you have questions.
Yeah, thanks, Shaughnessy. I love the representation in all of your books too.
Thank you. Yes, it's definitely part of our mission. And if there, I know at ALA, some people came up and asked for books in certain languages or different cultures. And I feel like if there's anything like that, we're always trying to fill those gaps. So that's feedback that I always give back to our editors. I know we have a book coming out in the spring that's like in Farsi and English as well. So but we love any feedback as well, all the time. Just that's our mission, is to book for every single reader.
No, that's amazing that you do that too. So so grateful for that. Yeah, thank you, Sue, for the feedback. I agree, it was a great presentation. So yeah, thank you, Shaughnessy.
Thank you so much.